Go guys, bottom of the map, Xel'Naga Fortress. We have our Terran player from the team, Prime. He is
Marine King Prime win.
He's not Marauder King, he's not Tank King, he is Marine King. And at the top of the map we have our Protoss player, won 3 games already. Can he take down a Terran? He is
TSL JYP.
JYP so far has looked undefeatable. He has had a little bit of a cough, I've noticed.
Yeah, maybe he is kind of sick. That just makes him even more impressive, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's like drinking that vitamin C to try to recover.
Wolf is trying to open up his Pepsi between when the game is starting.
Yeah,
and,
man, it splattered all over my hand. I actually didn't shake it at all. Someone's playing a prank on me, man. I went to my 5-minute break and someone shook my Pepsi. Who is it?
I wanted to say something like comforting to you, but I couldn't talk, so I just gave you this big ridiculous thumbs up, and I'm like, that actually doesn't communicate anything.
No, when you did it, I was like, did he just miss? I like showed you my hands like covered in Pepsi, and you like gave me a thumbs up. I'm like, what does it mean, Doa?
It was either that or a very exaggerated nod. I had to pick one.
I actually think you're the culprit. You're the one. Me? Were you the one who shook my Pepsi, Doa?
I didn't touch your Pepsi.
It's my Pepsi. Get away from it.
Small Trap. He's trying to drive us apart. He's not even here today, actually.
Small Trap's taking a nap.
I think so. Full nap.
He might actually be lurking around.
Could be, you never know.
Now he's going to shake our Pepsi.
That's right. We have to be careful now. So, looks like no gas for Marine King, so it will be actually a 1-Rax expand for him.
As I predicted. Well, this is a nice little scouting path for JYP. He was able to juke out that Marine. He's going to see it. No gases.
Yep.
Exactly what he expects to see. I mean, I say it time and time again, but it's just the truth, guys. Marine King, 99.99% of his TVPs, he will do this. 1-Rax expand.
Same thing with his TVTs as well. I mean, he likes to go really, really macro heavy in a lot of his matchups. He's done that really since the beginning, more or less. But, you know, this kind of gives JYP something to think about. He's like, well, should I, do what I was planning? Should I go for some sort of early aggression to take advantage of this?
I'm sure he was absolutely planning on this from the start. This is something that Marine King is known for in the Korean community and the foreign community. Everyone knows Marine King. TVP, it's like, well, I'm playing against Marine King, so I'm just ready for I'm not playing against Marine King. I'm playing against once barracks expanded to 2 base ghost timing attack. That's what I'm playing against. And we're just going to have to wait and see.
Oh, look at this.
I was thinking this was going to happen. Void Ray all-in is so good on Xel'Naga Fortress. And I'm like, well, he's got 2 gases. That's what it's going to be. And that's it, man.
You know what? Marine King's not going to have a lot to defend this. I mean, this is a
really smart build to do. He's probably been playing this from the beginning. He knows that Marine King comes out, I'm going to do a 3-gate. Void Ray all in. Whoa!
Getting a little bit too aggressive with that Stalker there.
Actually, was able to keep him alive without losing any hit points, but that was a close call.
Yeah, sees the factory, which is kind of interesting to see Marine King go
I
for
didn't
such a quick
expect to see the factory either.
Yeah, especially after a 1-Rax expand. Now, there have been a couple Terran players trying this lately, going for a more tank-oriented style in TVP with expanding too, so that might be what he's planning.
It looks like we're going to see a 2-gate Void Ray build, and he even made a Sentry. This actually is not going to be an all-in. It's going to be a timing attack that's going to be followed up with a Nexus. Nice control on those Marines by Marine King. Is actually pushing the Stalkers all the way back so his bunker can finish. Will he get the SCV building the bunker? It's going to be close.
I don't know.
No, he's not going to get it. It was really close. Oh! Yeah. Is he going to get it? He gets it, but the bunker finishes at the last second.
Wow, that was as close as you can possibly cut it. But you know what? Those Marines are going to have to leave that bunker to defend against that Void Ray.
Yeah, they are, and this is going to be pretty tough for both players. You know, Marine King is going to have to micro those few Marines he has very well. He's actually making siege tanks right now. And
this is interesting.
This is the point of contestants. It's that pylon that you guys are going to get a shot of in a second. That's going to be the point where everything comes together. That pylon where you can warp units onto the high ground and use his Void Ray, that is going to be the biggest.
You know, I've been hearing, some people on NA have been telling me, some of my team actually from Ghost have been telling me about this 2-Rax with reactors tank thing that people are doing over on NA, but I've never seen that in Korea before.
This is a bad attack by JYP.
Zelt's going into the mineral line though, and Marine King not really responding too much.
Yeah, he's losing a few SCVs here.
Yep, he's going to lose a couple.
He will be fine. He's actually just going to lose maybe 3 or 4 SCVs.
Yeah.
And the Zealots are actually cleaned up now.
Siege mode is going to finish right about now, so he should be fairly safe for a little while anyway.
The gateway is going up for JYP back at home.
Yeah.
He's going to follow this up with another attack.
Oh,
His
be careful.
Nexus is completing as well. Remember, this isn't really an all-in. He's just putting pressure on Marine King right now.
Yeah.
And that siege mode is going to, of course, going to push this back. He's going to be careful with that tank, though. The Void Ray might just pick at it a few times.
Well, Siege mode is, when you think about it, in theory, you think to yourself, well, yeah, this would be pretty good against a lot of what Protoss has. But the difficulty becomes that there actually are a lot of things Protoss can do to take advantage of that too. So
Right.
that's why you generally don't see it quite as much.
Siege tanks basically eliminate sentry play from the mix. You can't really use sentries against siege tanks. There's no benefit to force fielding them. They outrange sentries incredibly, and of course the sentries just cannot get near the siege tanks and will just die very quickly.
Yeah.
Now I like this. Now the SCVs are softened up. He's going to come down here and do some harassment with his Void Ray.
Prevents the supply depot from finishing for a little bit.
Oh, gotta get out of there.
Oh,
Nice
look at that.
control.
Yeah, he hasn't lost a lot of health on that Void Ray yet.
Yeah. Only
Good
some
control
shields.
there.
Now
And
back
a
at home,
Robo.
he's adding a Robo. He's gotten 5 gateways. He wants to continue to put on pressure. When he saw the siege tanks, though, he was like, well, I can't actually attack you with the 5 gates that I wanted to.
Marine King's moving out.
This is a really risky move by Marine King. If he gets caught on siege, he's really going to regret this. But, in fact, he's going to catch JYP's army in the middle of the map.
Uh-oh. And a Marine or two chasing away that Void Ray, and suddenly JYP looks like he could be in a bit of trouble here.
Yeah, he's going to need to bring that Void Ray back to defend this attack.
Yeah.
He's going to have to engage Marine King when he's unsieged. This is going to be really hard to hold.
Yeah. Oh, here he goes.
Guardian Shield and Force Field's going up here. If the tanks are going to siege, that's going to trigger him to retreat.
Yep. Oh, the
Taking a
Zealots.
lot of damage on those Zealots.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good thing he pulled him back when he did, because he would have been absolutely crushed otherwise. It may have been too much damage anyway,
He's
but
trying to buy time by pushing out like this, but he has to
see.
be very careful. Another
Oh.
volley hits those Zealots. Those Zealots are very low.
yeah. And Marine King doing a beautiful job leapfrogging those siege tanks towards his opponent base. So many Marines out too. This I heard about this double barracks with the
Here we
reactors
go.
tank play.
Hesitation from JYP.
This is really cool to see in action here.
There are so many Zealots, but many of them are on low hit points. He's trying to warp in more.
Yeah, and without
I don't know if he can hold this, man.
Well, without Zealot Charge, you just can't close the distance in time. Everything takes so much damage before it gets there. The +1 range to Immortals may help a little bit, but with that amount of Marines out, you know, what do you really do?
I don't know if he can repel firepower of this magnitude, Doa. Here we go, Guardian Shield's up. This may be the time. No, he's hold positioning his Zealots in siege tank range. The Marines are starting to clean up these Stalkers. He's going to go now. Guardian Shield is up. I don't think he has enough units. His Force Shield's working against him here. The Immortal targeting down siege tanks. One Phoenix lifts a tank, but he has nowhere near the units he needs here.
No, yeah, he needed a lot more Phoenixes for that, but he only has 1 Manor Mules coming down.
And the Nexus is under fire. The tank's re-sieging here.
Yeah, this could be the end right here. Oh, so much damage.
So many probes going down, even taking out one of those Stalkers.
Yeah.
And this is essentially game GG. Marine King brings Prime back into this.
Really interesting strategy from Marine King. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that a little bit more often.
Well, this happens to me on the ladder all the time. It's a really good strategy.
I've heard about people doing it
If you can
one
micro
base,
extremely well and really patiently, then you can make it work. Especially if your opponent has not really, he's not really prepared for this. He doesn't have any Immortals out. And especially if he keeps taking hits on his Zealots in the middle of the map.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, when you see that, does the Terran usually go one base, or do they do it off of an expand like we saw?
When I see it, it's usually off the 2 base.
Okay, interesting.
And it's not something you see in the GSL very often, but it's a common Terran strategy to go tank Marine like that and push out on the map. And Marine King just did it really well. He's the king of Marines. What can I say?
Yeah.
He was extremely patient. He leapfrogged, like you said, with his tanks, and never was unsieged at the wrong moment. And there were a few moments where I feel like JYP just took too much damage with his Zealots.
Yeah.
He got caught in the middle of the map, lost a sentry and a Stalker there when the fight first happened. And
well, those siege tank shots were always so perfect. I almost wonder if he was actually manually controlling it.
Yeah,
it certainly looked that way. Yeah,
absolutely was manually targeting those Zealots, trying to keep their hit points low.
Something we're seeing more and more from Terran players
because that's
is manually targeting the siege tanks.
That's the really scary thing about holding that push. When your opponent's trying to hold it, if he has a lot of Zealots, you have no answer for the Zealots. That's why you see Marine tank Banshee as a 1-base timing push, because Zealots can hold the attack really well, but if you make too many Zealots and the Banshees just kill everything else, you have to have a good ratio. But in this case, he can make just almost only Zealots, because that's really going to close the distance quickly, take out those tanks. Anyway, are we going to see the Clyde come out
Who's
with
it
his
gonna
Clyde
be?
Burns? Who will it be?
Now
it is Clyde!
TSL Clyde Burns
Get those
Belmont.
Clyde Burns trending on Twitter.
Monster Slayer going into the booth. Monster Slayer, Vampire Slayer. His coat is already waiting for him. His coat is actually a sentient being that follows him wherever he goes.
Yeah, man, he actually...
Magic coat.
He's got all these little screens and stuff on the inside of his coat he can look into to get data about the people he's hunting down.
If he's like walking in the rain, like an umbrella comes out of the top, like Inspector Gadget has.
Now, the Clyde Burns, they look like they're getting a little bit thicker, man.
Yeah, thicker, but do they look a bit shorter, though?
They do look a little bit shorter, but I think they've become more powerful. You know, I've seen the Clyde Burns are so long that sometimes I just don't know. I'm like, we're saying they're short, but they're actually still ridiculously long.
They kind of become like elephant tusks if they go too long.
Yeah.
He's like lift up his desk with them and flip it over.
He has to trim them sometimes, because otherwise they might become too powerful.
It's true. Well, there's something to think about. We've got a 5-minute break, guys. Come back. It's going to be Clyde versus Marine King here on the GSTL.